We now move on to the power-packed panel discussion on the most awaited topic, data governance, to help assets reliability, better quality, and increased trust. Please welcome on stage Kamran Ahmed, Vice President, Data Quality at the Saudi National Bank. Mr. Ahmed, he has more than 22 years of experience in the diverse data science and financial industry. For the last 15 years, he has been working in data science, business intelligence, data modeling, and governance. Let's also welcome our next panel member, Aljundi, Director Business Intelligence and Data Management from Emaar, the economic city. Welcome. He is a highly accomplished professional, experienced in business intelligence and analytics, digital transformation, with a proven ability to quickly grasp and apply new technologies and best practices. He also has a proven track record in successful and smooth implementation of projects of initiatives. Next, we have Engineer Salah Al-Ghamdi, Vice President, Adjacent Markets from Zain Telecommunications Company, Saudi Arabia. He has a pivotal role in Zain KSA's digital transformation journey and participated in setting the company's strategies and execution plans, particularly through data analytics and governance. Prior to joining Zain KSA, he held senior roles at several of the kingdom's telecom providers and global companies such as Ericsson, Nokia, and Takamul Holding. Let's welcome Samy Hegazy, Senior Sales Manager, Saudi Arabia and Egypt from Informatica. Welcome. Samy aims to bridge the gap between technical users, business users, and digital transformation strategies. Through his expertise in topics like data governance and privacy business 360, data ingestion, and quality. Being involved in many projects within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for NDMO, compliance, and realizing the value of data, he brings many real-life and use cases into the domain. With that lineup, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our moderator, Abhinav. Abhinav, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Before we start the panel, I think there's a bit of energy missing in the room. So let's try again. Can we have a big round of applause for our panelists on this panel? Yes, now we're talking, All right, great. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. The topic is of great interest to me. It's of great interest to Saudi Arabia, the organizations over here, and the region as well. So I'm going to start with, again, a question which everyone seems to have the answer for, but apparently still they don't have the answer for, right? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Kamran. Everyone's talking about data governance, but why do you think we need data? Why do we need data governance?
Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to tell what I feel. Data governance is not a new subject, but it's very much organized right now. It's required because of we having lots of data processing power, cloud storage powers. Now we have a data. Now we don't have basically, it is not an optional to not to use the data and come into the competitive edge. So the main point is what is the value we are going to drive it, and definitely the data is going to drive it. Once the data has to be basically drive the value, it has to be organized and disciplined. If it is not disciplined and it is not consistent, so we cannot drive anything. Whatever we drive, we might be drawing the wrong thing and wrong conclusion. to achieve this objective, to come into the competitive market and plus to understand basically the informed decisions, we need a discipline which is basically the data governance under the data management council, the subject. So data governance is allow us to create the rules, policy, procedures, standards, and we follow those things and we are able to achieve those objectives. The second question is why we are not able to achieve it. No, I'm not saying we are not able to achieve it. It's basically this time is a transition time where basically lots of heads are basically changing. Previously, there were no concept of CDO, but now we have the CDOs as well. So this is basically the migration between IT and the data governance vertical. So it's basically the transition, and we are very hopeful it will recover very quickly. The thing is, the new generation, when it comes to the place and they will see the information, they will see the complete vertical of data. So it's a transition, and we are learning, and lots of things are basically fancy, very high expectation, but in reality, when we work on those things, so we realize that it requires a lot of efforts. For example, if you are working on machine learning labeling, you can see that it's not straightforward. We need a lot of data cleansing, working, and then based on that one model, maybe 60 to 70% get mature. I hope I answered you.
Yes, you did, and I'm going to go to Badr now, please.
When it comes to data governance, I think, first of all, we need to understand what is data governance and how it differs from data management. So each organization is trying to consider its data as an asset in order to generate value. The value can be perceived by knowing more about customers, about the market, developing smarter and better products, achieving operational excellence, as well as sometimes monetizing the data. So data management is to have your data clean, have your data integrated, have your data analyzed and served across the organization. Data governance comes to ensure that the process of producing valuable data to the organization is in place in terms of policies, procedures, standards, as well as roles and responsibility. Why is it important? To achieve the sustainability of producing value out of the data, you need data governance so that it's not really dependent on an individual capacity or capability within the organization, rather than the organization as itself is really making sure that the data is producing value day in, day out.
Thank you so much. Engineer Salah, your answer to this same question.
I want to add to the great points my colleagues here given. If we imagine a business in the 50s or 60s of the last century, a big chain of supermarkets or restaurants or whatever, how many data collection points you can find then? With the advancement of technology, it's not only the inventory that is managed by 2 or 3 people in that huge organization is having logs and registry and files. Now, every point on the system is having a data collection point with the advancement of the technology. So that creates huge data to be provided. And now even the users and consumers of these data are not only a small portion of the organization, like 1% of the organization will manage and process this data in order to become with some kind of business decisions. Now it's almost 95% to 100% of the organization employee need to manage and process that data in order to bring tactical or strategical business decisions. So now that would requires a bigger framework of data governance and data management in totality.
Thank you so much. Samy, your answer to the same question.
Salam alaikum. So first of all, why data governance? And this is a question we see every day. Are we doing it for compliance? What is the value of it for the organization if we're not doing it for only compliance? So the challenge right now is for every CDO to go and explain why we need data governance and to explain that to the CIO and to the management. And there is one example that I always use. So why do we need data governance? So I say, imagine a library where the people working there, they get the books and batches, they just put it on the shelf, they don't know what's inside. So when an important customer comes, they ask about topic, They don't ask about a certain book. They ask like a doctor asking about COVID-19. So the library people they will go around searching for that topic in every book, and they will take a lot of time, and then most probably they come back with a result that will not satisfy the business user. Imagine you got one client, a doctor, another client is asking about geography, another one about space. The library people are overwhelmed. That's the IT and that's the business. So what's data governance? Simply on the same example, imagine that you have a system that can scan all your books using AI, understand the topics, understand the quality, and give people the liberty to give a feedback. So when the customer, which is a business, enter your library, he can just search for the topic COVID, and he will know where is the books that talk about that topic. The people who used those books before, they will give a feedback. So it will breach the gap between the IT and the business, and it will cut a lot of time that the IT spend just trying to make a reports for the business.
Thank you so much. I think that was exactly the intention of the question, to open up the conversation. And Badr, I'm going to come to you with the second question, is that when we talk about data governance, right, we also talk about data discipline and filling the data gap by having well-defined processes. Now, how do we achieve this data discipline and fill this data gap?
It's very important to link the data governance to the business processes through several areas. First, you can make sure that the enterprise or the corporate performance management is aligned with your data governance initiative. So whenever you are reporting the business performance through Balanced Scorecard or OGSM or whatever business performance framework you have, you make sure that the people who are responsible for providing the data, the logic behind the data is as per the policies and the procedures that you have within the organization. Second, there are employees who are called data crunchers, who are really producing reports and analysis day in, day out, week in, week out, monthly or quarterly even. So having the BI competency center or the data ambassador concept, like what we have seen previously, is a very good initiative to make sure that the data governance is working and it is adding value to the organization. Third is the linking the analysis and the insights you get out of your BI to a business process, to existing business process, so that it's not really linked to a specific department, specific silo, rather than it is helping the organization generating value through its entire business processes.
So, Mr. Kamran, coming to you with the same question. Badr mentioned the three things, ending with how it has to link back to the existing processes as well. What do you think about it? How do we achieve this data discipline and fill the data gap?
In a technical perspective, definitely we have to prioritize. This is one thing. Another thing is we have to understand the maturity model. Data governance maturity model, where we are right now, where we want to achieve in the final destination, and how we achieve the different levels. There are multiple maturity models and levels are available. For example, if we don't know where we are right now, we cannot decide where we have to go and how we can achieve. So there are, the data governance it's not very straightforward path actually. It requires lots of working so in a certain levels. For example, what is your initial level, and second level you streamline the inventories, applications, and then you go for the proactive approach, from the reactive approach to the proactive approach. For example, the data quality, initial level it's reactive. If somebody reports something, you have to fix it. So in my opinion, basically we have to implement the maturity model in the data governance, where we are, where we want to go, and how to achieve the different levels.
That's a very interesting point, because that's exactly how I'm going to end my panel with that particular question. I'll come back to you on that. But Samy, coming to you, you know, we see that there are multiple sources these days when it comes to data, and plus data silos, what Badr was also talking about. You know, when we talk about these things, we also see that there's a greater emphasis on creating that single source of truth, right? Now, why has this become so important for businesses? Why has this single source of truth become so important for businesses?
So currently when we talk about a single source of view, that's what we call a business 360. Because in a typical organization and enterprise, you will have the same record or the same information repeated in different silos of the organization. And it might be different, it might be contradicted, it might be redundant. So right now, as the business grows, there is a need to find a place where you can have a centric view of your business. So if you have yourself, you might have a commercial registration because you have a business, but you also own a house. So, and you have a record in the CRM. So how I can enrich your record and match and merge all the records that you have to have a one view of the person or the organization I deal with. So, and the beauty of it is once I build that golden record and once I build that single view is the operation. So all the other systems, when there is a new customer, they don't enter the customer in the CRM or in a silo. You start using that single view to make the operation easy and to have a single view of the entity across all your organization. So the business knows you the same as the IT sees you, as the governance knows your information. So it's very important for all the organizations right now.
Thank you. Engineer Salah, the same question like Samy mentioned about having that single view. What, in your opinion, why is the single source of truth become so important for businesses these days?
Thank you, Samy, for having this very accurate answer, and you left me nothing to add. However, I would like to say that single version of truth is important, and on top of that, with the flood of data every business is having now, also assuring that ethical use is there, and also assuring that with this flood of data, interpretation might be different from one business sector to another. So having this unification of definitions and classification is crucial to make strategic decisions, to have common understanding within the organization whenever they are building their visions. And that also goes and applies into not only strategic long-term visions, it also goes and applies for the power of data will provide to businesses, is providing to businesses a lot of near real-time tactical movements. So, and that creates a lot of business opportunities that was not there a few years ago or decades ago. And exploiting such kind of opportunities is really important for the growth of any business organization and common days.
Thank you so much. Badr, coming to you, I want to ask you, like, you know, now that we see that data management has migrated majorly to cloud, right? What architecture, cloud architecture, do you see being very friendly to data governance? Is there a one-set rule that, okay, this is the best, or what is your opinion on that?
I think with the emerging technology moving to cloud, we're having a lot of tools and technologies in place within any organization. So it should be a hybrid. So you have a lot of data sources that are on-prem and you have cloud-based data sources. You need to have that layer that will accommodate all the regulations you have, either external regulation or internal organizational data governance policies and procedure, to make sure that it is adapting with the technology we have nowadays. So it should be hybrid, in my opinion. And I think we're having now more technologies that handle the storage of the data, yes, because of the regulations in certain countries to have its data within the country itself. So there will be more and more solutions to this problem. And it becomes bigger problem when you have multinational operation. So if you are a company within Saudi, that's okay for you. But if you have multinational operation, then you need really to consider how the data governance will look like, considering the cloud versus on-prem data sources you have.
Mr. Kamran, Badr's vote goes to hybrid. What about you?
He's saying, I think he already mentioned all the points. In my opinion, basically it is very case to case. It depends on what type of solution somebody's looking, how big corporation is, what is the priority, and how they are going to basically, how the strict is the regulator in terms of the industry and organization. If it comes to the bank, yes, there are so much strict rules. Multinational company, there are strict rules. So it's basically, there is no one fit solution. There is vary from situation to situation and corporation to corporation.
Thank you so much. Samy, coming back to you, you know, I want to ask you a question which personally has interested me a lot, is that what we see is that despite so much happening around data and data governance, it's really surprising and astounding for me that major organizations and data leaders are themselves not aware about the maturity level when it comes to data governance. How is that possible, and what can we do to change that?
So the question again, to get the maturity of the data governance?
The maturity, I mean, a lot of organizations themselves are not aware about the maturity when it comes to maturity level, their own maturity level, they're not aware of it. And I'm pretty surprised that with so much happening around it, how is it that you are still so unaware about your own maturity level as an organization?
Yeah, honestly, here in the kingdom, we see a lot of evolution in that domain, in the data governance, giving the regulation and giving the understanding of the organization of what's needed right now and the value for them. And the maturity of the data governance is basically, you can, if you want to put it simple, is to let everybody speak his language inside the organization, but still they understand each other. And that will come as an impact on the business and cutting operation time and operation cost and giving more services. So what we're seeing right now in Saudi is there is a lot of evolution, and there is a lot of steps that has been taken and being taken every day, and the maturity is getting higher and higher. And the fact that inside every organization you can find a data office and people who speak the language, champions who understand why we need data governance, why we're doing data governance. The maturity is getting more and more every day, and I think very soon it will be a must in every operation in any organization to have a data governance practice where everybody's involved, having the data governance committee in place, and that will give a huge advantage to any organization and maturity. So currently the maturity is getting high, and I think soon enough it will be like the de facto in all the market.
Yeah. In general, Salah, the same question like Samy mentioned, he predicts that I think we all see that happening, it's going up. But why is it that why are so many organizations still unaware of their own maturity level?
I think everybody knows what they know, and they don't know what they don't know. That's a very simple answer. Usually when an organization gets aspiration to move to a new era or to advance or to transform to a new thing, they directly focus on the point B where they want to go, and without thinking of the existing situation. And based on what they know best, if they know technology best, then they will look at technology. If they know services best, they will focus on creating new services and so on. So not missing, even though it's intuitive and that people should assess their existing situation first, they forgot about that in the middle of the aspiration. And unfortunately, that leads to a lot of project delays, maybe not meeting the strategic objectives and so on. So it is really important to look first on the existing situation, like my colleagues here spotted on, to prioritize what you are missing more or what you are missing a lot, so you need to focus on it to elevate that pillar in your organization, whether it's people or tools or systems or architecture or even organizational structure, because even organizational structure before adopting being data-driven organizations is completely different than before. And unfortunately, a lot of organizations, they decide that we want to reach there, and they forgot that this transformation requires 360 changes within the organization on all aspects.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great way to end the panel, because like what you mentioned, everyone knows what they want, and people forget that they're aiming for something, but it's not only one person or one department, it has to have a 360-degree change across the organization. So with that, we come to the end of the panel. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. I would request all of you all to show the same energy that you showed at the start of the session, and please give a big round of applause to our panelists today on the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.